to you by Big White 80s Underwear. Get them in store now. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I'm delighted this week to be rejoined by our resident Joker, but not Joker of the pod. It's DL across the pond! He's back, baby!
Different pond, different day, but we're live. We're back here.
We're back, baby!
I'm back at it.
I'm loving the energy you bring in. I was throwing it all at the wall, and you were like, yep, I'm back.
I'm just trying to get the mic volumes right, man. I speak one time and it's like, and then it's like I forgot you were the technician of the pod. Yeah, you're the technician of the pod, so I'm a little stranded out here.
It's great. You're gonna have to learn the hard way. Dunk your head first into the cold water, mate. How's across the pond? Talk to me. I need to know things.
You know, it's gray. It's heading to winter. It's awesome, man. It's been really cool. You know, a lot of change and a lot of fun stuff. So I cannot complain, man. I got my health.
You're in my neck of the woods now, so you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn about those.
Not really though. You're from bumfuck nowhere, aren't you? You're from like some like town that like, you know, there's like 3 people and
I'm from
one little pub.
I'm from Wet Wallies. Oh no, me and Jon Snow used to drink on a Friday night together.
Dude, I just remember, you just reminded me of like when there was peak Game of Thrones and like it was like season 7 or season 8 and it's like the deep, deep winter of New York. And like we have this thread with like Ari and the boys that you know, and somebody just sends like I don't know if you remember this video of like Kit Harington just being blackout at a bar in New York.
No, I've never seen that.
And it like made the news and it was like kind of bad because he was kind of acting a fool. And I sent it to Ari being like, dude, did you see him? He's out in New York. He's like, of course that motherfucker's here. It's like literally sub-zero temperatures right now. For sure. Of course Jon Snow is here. And that's like, you know, what I'm expecting.
Did he have his big black jacket on?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I'm expecting for us. So
well, I don't know in London. In London you should be a little bit warmer, but if you do go up north where we're hard and we're proper men, then you'll find out what cold actually is. I think where my mum was...
We're literally going to Iceland.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
In the deep winter. So we'll know.
I think where my mum was, it was -3 the other morning when she woke up. So, you know, this is autumn for you. You'll get used to it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, we get seasons, finally.
Real
I'm also
seasons.
Having a beer in true lad fashion.
Well, yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, my favorite co-host of them all, DL, is moved across the pond. Who's now in the UK. So for you, this is evening, and for me, it's morning. So we're just gonna have to get used to this little weirdness. But I'm so excited. It's great to be back. It feels like so long. I can't remember the last time we recorded together.
There's been a lot that's happened.
I think it was literally a month ago the last time we recorded together. Even more so. Jesus.
Well, I think the last time we saw each other was a month ago. So the last time we recorded together was definitely like a week before that. So maybe a month and a half. You know,
I think the last episode you were on with me was the Fantastic Four. Shout out to all of our fantastic co-hosts, friends of the show, who've been on since. You guys are awesome. We love you. Sequels suck, obviously. We had Till the End of the Line podcast, and we had the Resident Reegs, who, you know, he loves to come on and he's trying to cuckold you, mate. He's trying to take your place.
I know. I can sense it. My spidey senses, my cuckold senses are tingling. I don't know what that means. I'm going to leave it up to viewers to determine, you know, what that means and if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But, you know, we don't kink shame here.
We might have to add him to the cover at some point. Like, I feel
honest to God, dude, it would add some flavor. I feel like
he's our third wheel now.
Dude, to be fair, like it would make our, you know, it would bring our average of like, you know, good looks out of 10 up for sure. That's all I'll say.
Well, I've been saying on every podcast since you've been away, you're the sex appeal of the pod. We need more, man. We need to bring
you. No, you can determine what that means, but with him added, our average goes up. However the viewers want to interpret.
He's a beautiful man. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. It's been wild here too. Like while you've been moving house, we've been moving house. We've moved into our new apartment. It's so nice to have your own place. Like we just like, look at all this sunshine. Did you ever imagine this much sunshine in my old apartment where we used to sit in the dingy den?
No, I didn't. I mean, I agree. It's good to finally, here's the crazy thing, guys. Like Tommy, for his life dream was to live across the road from me. And as soon as he did, I was like, fuck that. I'm out of here. I cannot be this close to this motherfucker. I'm not only leaving the neighborhood, I am leaving the continent. So that's a behind the scenes take, just so you know.
He technically tried to book a seat on SpaceX, but they just couldn't, he didn't have the cash for it.
They were like, no, maybe you can have some Starlink. And it was like, be on your way. Take it and say thank you. And I was like, okay, just don't kill me with the robot.
We were so close. We were so close. When you eventually come back, we'll be there. Guys, if you want to stick around, feel free to do so. Time codes will be in the description, as always, supplied by Matthew Bliss of mbpod.com.
The Bliss Man!
If you could, he was on last week. He was fantastic. He was on for our Megaplopolis episode, which is a bad movie, objectively. If you could leave a 5-star review.
Are we agree? Is that true?
Oh, it's real bad.
It's really bad. Okay, well, give us a 5 stars. And
real
give that, a nothing on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, go on Letterboxd and give it the lowest score you can. And DL, go back and listen.
I gotta listen to my own pod.
Episode. I know you've been super busy, but that's a movie. But yeah, feel free. You can give us a 5-star review in your podcast capture of choice, whatever you're doing right now. Just take it out, give it a 5-star. Even take your partners. Take your partners. Do it on theirs. Do it on your parents. We love it when you do it. Helps with algorithms, things we don't really understand. DL, what have you been up to, buddy?
Dude, what hasn't happened, mate? I mean, we flew across the world in a tin can with my cat and my wife, which was a wild experience. The cat was on board for literally our 24 hours of flying.
It's still weird me hearing you say wife. Not that there's any problem with that.
Just it's weird for me too.
Still sometimes. Hasn't quite registered.
No, it's like we're getting old. No, but it's like I feel like super proud to say it. It's just more, you'll never. We're all young at heart, and it'll never feel normal to say something like that.
Young at heart.
You know what I mean? It's like I still am playing Halo.
This podcast becoming a musical like the movie we're talking about today.
No, it's not. Please don't let it. Please don't let it become
no. Young at heart.
My point is, like, I got a wife now, but I'm still playing Halo in the attic in, like, I don't know, like third grade in my head. Like, that's where I'm at mentally, but anyway.
I'm pretty sure mine was Final Fantasy VII. I was playing Final Fantasy VII, sitting at home, and I used to have, oh my God, this is so geeky. Did you ever have those blow-up chairs? They were like a huge, like, blow-up base with, like, a bit of a top that was blow-up as well.
At some point. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't think I had one, but I know what you're talking about.
I fucking love them. It was like the shape of like a beanbag chair, but it was kind of like just blow up. I don't know why. I used to dig it. I used to sit and play Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, that's
beanbag
great.
Chairs. God, we were geeks once upon a time.
Dude, I used to just throw down on Super Smash Bros. With my sister, and I was like, I would make her play me, and she kind of liked it.
Whoa, there's words in there that I'm not sure should be in the same sentence.
Super Smash Bros. She was Kirby, I was Link, and let me just tell you, she was flying off the map. There was no way she was ever going to win. But she loved the game enough to keep playing and getting just destroyed. But anyway,
it's the younger sibling vibe, isn't it? You've just got to keep destroying them. See, I was the younger sibling, but I was used to
go there.
I used to destroy my brother all the time. Like I was like, I don't know. I was always the cool one. Can I say that? I don't know if I can say that. I don't know if I'm cool enough to say that. But I used to beat my brother.
I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
I was clearly in a very uncool family, but what can you say? Dude, have you been up to anything cool?
We look, I don't want to give you the last like 10 weeks of my life, which is a lot of travel. But I've been places, dude. I was in Brussels for a bit.
We can do 2.
I was in Brussels for a few weeks, basically trying to put on all the weight that I lost during 6 months of not working. Then, hit the street. I'm a renter again. Hit the mean streets of London.
Oh, shit.
Because I like the mean streets. So I was like, I got to get back to them. Found a place, then jetted off to North Carolina, missed a hurricane, just dodged it, just like, whoop, sorry, neoed it. Like,
just sidestep.
I was like, sorry, don't want that. Shout out to all the people out there. I know that it's actually quite dire, and I hope you guys get the help you need.
Shit.
But I missed the hurricane and then, did training for my job and came back and now I'm here and then, watched a bunch of stuff while I was doing all that.
Yeah. So did you get any time to watch stuff is the question.
Yeah, no, I did. I mean, there's a lot of flying involved. So I'll dive into a bit of it. But one of the big ones, have you been watching The Umbrella Academy, the new season?
Ooh, I have not. Talk to me about that. So for context, I like I say, have not actually got internet yet. The internet here has not, for some reason, kicked in. So I'm on mobile data right now talking to you.
Got it.
And I was really excited to come to this episode and tell you I've finished the Rings of Power season 1. I've started season 2. I'm buzzing through it. And we get here and I can't even watch the friggin' TV because it connects to the internet that we don't have.
Yeah, it's bummer.
I'm like, I've seen all but one episode of the first season.
Oh, okay.
So I have almost finished the first season. But like that episode where the Mount Doom explodes is like full gangster.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like it's a slow build, that first season. I know we talked about it and I was facetiously saying it's crap and I don't like the Hobbits. I still don't love the Hobbits, but like it really has a nice crescendo to the season. Like it clearly builds really nicely. And the mysteries around some of the characters, like who is the stranger, who is the dude who ends up being Sauron, like that stuff is really well done. And I think they keep you invested. The only thing I would say is that like, and obviously I haven't got there yet. I've heard some of the reviews. People are talking about season 2, but like without some of those mysteries, like it might be difficult to kind of continue some of the story plots.
I'm enjoying, I'm one episode away from being done with season 2. And
is it all out now?
I think it is. I'm assuming it is. Okay. Because it's been, I watched season 7 like 3 weeks ago. Episode 7 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. The first one was 8 episodes, right? So the second one must be as well.
Yeah, I guess like I hear you, and there's less and less mysteries by the day, but there also isn't, because there's like a bunch of other stuff. Like you start to thinking about you're like, okay, well, like there's the 9 king, like the 9 ring wraiths that are men. And so like all season, you're like, which of these motherfuckers is going to be that? Like, there's still those.
Yeah, right.
And what I'll say is, for the stuff that you do know, where you're like, okay, we know who Isildur is. How do you say his name? Isildur? It's like a dinosaur. Isildur? Isildur. There he is.
Can we keep calling him
Isildur? Isildur.
The dinosaur one.
Isildur Rex. We know how it ends for him, right? We know.
Yeah, we know his trajectory.
So it's really interesting. So like, there's the ones where where it's really, really interesting to see, like, hey, what was he before that, and how does he get there?
Was he the son of the captain?
Yes,
Isildur?
And he's the one that his eventual fate is he doesn't throw the ring into Mount Doom.
Yeah. So interestingly, in the episode I'm up to, they think he's dead because when Mount Doom exploded, he was covered, or he ran into a house or something trying to save some kids, and I don't know. It was very, very noble of him.
I didn't like that part of that season. I was like, this is kind of like, we know he's not dead. Why are you even trying to pretend? Like that's the stuff I don't like, where they're like, hey, like they're like cliffhanger, and it's like, oh, Isildur. It's like, dude, we literally know he's alive. Like, just don't even waste my time.
Yeah, right.
Like, don't even waste my time.
Completely. And the thing is, it's interesting because I really like the stranger character. I think he's great, and I find it really weird that people get so angry about some of the characters. I know I'm talking about nerd fandom here. Of course, everyone gets angry. It's such a stupid thing to say, but like,
no, but it is weird. It is weird because it's well done.
If it is Gandalf, that's cool. I'm cool with that. But like, nerds are like, it can't be Gandalf because he wasn't alive in this period. I'm like, guess, man, they're telling a fun story.
Literally, just get fucked. Like, I fucking dude. I'm actually so shocked at how much hate there is for this show. It's like so unfair. If it gets canceled, I'm gonna be so pissed. Like, I'm gonna be really angry. I saw some thumbnail.
Well, the show I talked to a friend of the show, Reegs, about like a week or so ago, KAOS, which I like. It's basically Greek mythology set in modern times.
Yeah,
it's like a reimagining of some of the Greek myths. It's amazing. It's imagine if you get Jeff Goldblum's brain. I can't speak this morning. His brain, and you make all the Greek mythology today in that sort of weird, like, mix it up in like a protein shaker. That's what you get. This is it, and it's got that weird, dark sense of humor.
Jeff Goldblum in Greek mythology, it's just not really making sense to me.
It's so weird. He's Zeus, man, and it's so perfect. It works so well. He's got this weirdness to him, and he's super anxious about everything.
Chaos theory.
He's terrified of everyone backstabbing him. It's amazing, but they've cancelled that already, and it's like one of the most creative, interesting shows.
Was it Amazon or Netflix
in the last 5 years? It's Netflix, and of course they cancelled it because it's good.
Honestly, I don't think Amazon can get away with canceling Rings of Power because it is like their premiere.
Oh, I think it's their only thing.
Yeah, well, it's not their only thing, but it's definitely one of their biggest. And like,
yeah,
I honestly feel like it's one of those shows that will like get a lot of appreciation in, I don't know, 10 years, like, or something. Like, you know how, like...
Yeah, they need it now, man. They need it now.
But you know how, like, the Star Wars, like, the prequels, like, people just fucking shat on them. And to be fair, rightfully so.
It took
a lot of them
though.
are really bad. But like...
Well, there's only 3. So when you say a lot of them...
But, like, I would say, like, 50% of those are bad. Like 50% of the screen time is bad. And like the worst parts are some of the worst things ever. But point being, people like
the Senate
appreciate
hearings.
Yeah. People appreciate it now. Like people love Ewan McGregor for what he did. And
I genuinely really like the Rings of Power first season. I think it's got a lot of interesting choices for a time period that we actually don't know a hell of a lot about, which is great. And you know what, man? Like, fucking write a new story. Write something new in this world.
Dude,
like, you're not hurting anyone.
Do you know what this whole show is based off of?
Isn't it like 2 sentences written in a book
literally
or something?
2 sentences written in one book. And it's like a really interesting, like 3 or 4 sentences. I think it's like 3 or 4. But it's just like really impressive that they've been able to build this like very, very engaging story that like kind of builds on the lore of the movies and the books in ways that like there's no adaptation to be made for. They're just like really creative dudes while also staying true to those 4 sentences. Like I'm just like supremely impressed with the adapters. Like that I think that's part of it all. Like the writer in me is like, how are you doing this?
But isn't that just like what they're doing with the Hunt for Gollum movie that they're bringing out? Like that's literally like a line in the book and it's like Aragorn thinking out loud. It's wild. I don't know how they're going to do that.
I mean, like, to be honest, the Hunt for Gollum just like doesn't have the same level of character potential as like, it just means you're chasing someone.
It doesn't have anything. There's literally nothing in it. It's just like Aragorn been like, I searched for him for a few days and I really struggled. Had a bit of a hard time.
I got a bit sweaty.
Tough find that guy.
It was tough. No, like the line in this one is like, it literally deals with Sauron and I don't want to say too much because I don't know what what do you know at this point as a episode 7?
You've just found out who Sauron is.
Okay,
like,
how cool was that?
You now know who he is. It's a good
one. Through the years,
and then they have
I've gone by
battle.
many
it's very.
It's like, oh my god, this guy's creepy. He's probably the best actor in the show, I would say.
He's from where I'm from. He's from the north. He sounds right like
No,
this.
he's actually from Melbourne. He just put on the accent well.
Yeah, but I mean, in the show, he's got that Yorkshire accent. Like he's good, man. He looks like he's from Melbourne.
He fucking got a look does, dude. He fucking does. Especially when you see
Doesn't
him.
He just
not like even his character looks like he's from Melbourne. But when you see him actually without like the hair, all like the way he actually looks, he's literally walking the Yara with a coffee. Like that is him.
Brilliant.
Dude. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've talked a lot about Rings of Power.
Anyway, I would certainly recommend going and checking out Rings of Power. It's like it's definitely one of those you have to allow to sit and take your time with. You can't just watch one episode and think this is good or bad.
Which is the fucking way it should be, dude. Like, have you read the books? Like, it's not an easy read. Like, there's like elven songs like every other page, and you're just like, there's a guy named Tom Bombadil just like fucking jerking off, and
he's not in the first season though, is he? He's in the second season. So
no, I just mean like the books. Buddy? Like, I remember reading the first book, I mean like 100 pages in, being like, who the fuck is this? Like, it's the most absurd character. Like, so you're not like, it's not like a...
Did I tell you this, man? So about the books, it's really funny. When we just moved this apartment, obviously, like a week or so ago. And you know, when you first move somewhere, you've got like a ton of crap and you're constantly throwing stuff out and you've got millions of boxes and you've got millions of like stuff in there and everything's everywhere all at once. And I went down to the bins on like my first day and someone
by the way, name of your sex tape. Everything
everywhere all at once?
All at once. It is the name. It is the name. I've been told. Somebody told me. I don't know who. Somebody told me that.
You've watched it. Don't tell me you haven't watched it. I know you've watched it.
I didn't see it. I just heard about
it. The beast with 2 backs, as Othello says. So I went down to the bins on the first day, the name of my actual first tape, The Bins. And there was like a 1970s set of Lord of the Rings books just in the bins, pristinely put on top of like...
That's the one you found?
Yeah, it's amazing. We actually looked it up. We looked up like the dates of it and stuff, and they're probably worth like $300 or $400. But I mean, I'm not going to fucking sell them.
I literally saw you send that to Kyle and me, and that's what you sent, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And like, I was like joking around.
Oh, I was like, they look so clean. I was like, he just bought the new
I was like
ones.
joking around, and Cal was
They're
like,
old.
take them out of them bins immediately, because they were like right on like there was nothing underneath them. They were like on top of like a piece of plastic or something. And I was like, fuck yeah, cool, why not? I took them out, gave them a little wipe down, and they're so nice, man. They're beautiful. They're obviously not perfect, but they are so nice. I might have to go back and reread The Lord of the Rings.
I would reread them. I've only read it, I think, once.
I think I've read it
like properly.
I think I read it. I think we've talked about this in the podcast many times. I think when the movies were coming out, I'd already read them once, and then I was kind of reading them in the lead up to that movie coming out to see what the differences were.
Yeah, I would audiobook it this time, I think.
Oh yeah, big time. But then what's the point of having these nice books if I'm going to audiobook it?
No, you can't, but I should. But I will. Because I don't want to go buy more books.
Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot. We got a bookcase for our new apartment, and it's my pride and joy. I'm going to have to talk about this another time, but it's literally my favorite thing in the world. Well, come on, man. You tell me something you've been up to.
Love a bookcase. What else have we been doing? So as far as watching, dude, we started rewatching Lost.
Okay.
So Gail and I like don't have a lot of shows we can just go to, you know, like we're like we really need something where it's just like agreed and we're both down. And like rarely do we find something that's consistent, and Lost has become that for us, which is awesome because I've been wanting to do a rewatch.
You know, I've never seen Lost.
Look, it's
It's
a moment in time in TV is the way I would describe it. And it's a moment in time in TV that has influenced a lot of the way, like,
totally.
I would say a lot of like premiere TV has been influenced by Lost. And but it still has like that network level bit to it sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's this weird, like caught in between two worlds type of thing.
I love the bottle episodes. That's something that you don't get a lot of these days.
Which one?
The bottle episodes. You know, where it's like they've used all the budget, so they've got to do like, do you remember when this happened that time? And it's like a flashback to an earlier episode. Like, you don't get that anymore.
I don't know. I think you'll probably have that with Lost because there's so many episodes this season for sure. But there's definitely episodes where like it all takes place within like, you know, two little areas, and you're like, okay, like literally they were called to set. There was 5 of them, and that was it.
Brilliant.
Like he swam in the ocean, he ran in the trees, and then that was like, you know, that was it.
They're the bottlenecks for the show. I'm
enjoying it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. You know, it's definitely like, I think mostly beloved show that has a little bit of hate for the ending, but I just forgot
a little bit. There's pure vitriol to that ending.
Yeah, a little bit of hate at the end. To be fair, I say a little bit because it was like pre-internet. It wasn't as like, it didn't hit as hard. You know?
Yeah, pre-vitriol.
But no, the ending's pretty shit. To be fair, it's J.J. Abrams. Like he doesn't start things with like an arc in mind. He just does cool shit to like make you like get engaged, and it always works.
And think about it.
And then it always, you know, peters out. That's just like his style.
That's very true, actually.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd never thought about that with him.
Like, name a J.J. Abrams that had like a full, like there was somebody in the control tower here story.
You're right. I wish he'd have had a more like detailed outline for the Star Trek reboot situation thing he did.
I know what his outline was.
What was it? Do a cool thing first.
It would have
do some lens flares.
It would have been literally the original trilogy, but bigger and better. Instead of the Death Star, you have the Star Killer. And like it was literally the same story.
The Star Trek one. You know when he did with
did he
your
do the
favorite
Star Trek
Chris? One? Yeah, he did the first Chris with Chris.
Oh, those were actually good though.
The first one was amazing. The second one was all right, but like
I like the second one.
I didn't love the Khan twist. I felt like it was a bit roughly done.
I'm not a Trekkie. I have no idea.
Neither. But I know who that is, and I know the fandom around him, and I thought they could have done it better. You know what I mean? They could have done a little bit better.
Fair enough. So anyway, but high level, Hurley, man, iconic TV character that I forgot about.
Hurley.
To all my Hurley fans out there,
I don't know anything about the show. You're gonna have to fill me in. Is he the big guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I was going to say something worse. I was going to say something way worse. He's just like the fat, funny guy. No, he's really just like understated, like just really funny lines. Like I forgot how good Hurley is.
Do you remember we talked about this a little while ago, and I can't remember what movie we were talking about, but we were talking about the fact that movies and TV shows now, they don't just have those great character actors who are just there to do like a thing, like be the fat, funny guy. Or like How I Met Your Mother, I'm thinking of the taxi driver who's just the funny Indian, quotation marks, Indian character. Like,
yeah, you can't really do that anymore.
You don't get that anymore. It's almost a shame.
That being said, Hurley's more multidimensional than that, but like I totally agree. Yeah.
Do you recommend Lost? all these years later?
I do. I mean, if you've never seen it, it's like there's rough edges, but overall, like there's some great stuff in Lost. It's worth watching.
We might have to give that a go when we've got TV back.
It's just a matter of how far you go.
I did a cool thing this week that I really wanted to bring to you. As friend of the show, Reegs recommended this 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we burned through it. We found a way to watch it where we haven't had internet, so we've just had to make ways to watch this.
You mean you turned on your personal hotspot?
Pretty much.
Found a
watched
way
it on my laptop.
Yeah, you act like you bought
Life finds a way.
You're acting like you fucking literally like found kindling and like
it's just
and
rubbing
burnt
2 sticks together.
logs to create internet, dude. You opened up your phone, you went to cellular data, and you switched personal hotspot on, and then you clicked it on your computer and connected. Stop. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man, that kindling was really hard to find in 2024. We watched a show called Sugar. It's on Apple TV, and it is so freaking good. We finished it. We burnt through it.
That's Colin Farrell, isn't it?
Yes, it's Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
It's got a really interesting cast. It's got a really, really excellent mystery to it. Like the mystery of because he's a private investigator. Yeah, and it's got this mystery about the character, like the lost character trying to solve as a private investigator, and then a mystery about him because he's such a closed book of a character. It's really good. It's really interesting.
Well, I love Colin Farrell, so
yeah, there is a twist in it about halfway through, which honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I called, I think in episode 2, my partner was like, how on earth did you call that? I was like, you just when you watch as much as we do, you catch
you watch
these
enough
things.
tropes.
Yeah.
You find the anti-trope or the trope. Sometimes it's the anti-trope. Sometimes it's the
somewhere
trope.
in it's little column A, little column B. This one, to me, just for context and for Reegs more than anything, I didn't 100% love this twist. However, I don't mind it. It's fine. It didn't. I think it could have been done a little bit more intelligently. I think you should go away, DL, and watch this and tell me what you think of the twist. I just think it would have been interesting done in a different way. There are other ways they could have done it, and they chose a specific route to go. It's cool, but the show itself, amazing, beautifully shot like it's an old movie almost, from the 60s, and it also has all these cuts of old movies in it where he's doing a thing that harkens back to an old movie that he's watched, and it's just such a loving homage to cinema from I don't know, everything from the 20s all the way up to the 80s. It's great.
It's so funny that you say that because there's another one on Apple TV that everybody's saying is an homage to the 70s is Wolves.
Oh, I've heard about this. It's Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Which everybody's it's on everybody's Instagram feed all the time, or maybe it's just mine because I love Brad Pitt. I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, and Reegs recommends highly.
So I've heard that it's it was the script was written to be a 70s movie. Now, I don't know what that means. I'm not but I trust Reegs on that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I've heard mixed things. I've heard about Wolves specifically. I've heard that it sort of almost is just a vehicle for Clooney and Pitt to just sort of have fun together. But you know what? I'm kind of cool with that at this point. They're fun. They act
That's a
well
lot of
together.
Scorsese movies, dude.
Right.
It's a vehicle for his violence and dialogue.
Right.
So if as long as it's not just them ad-libbing and there's a little bit more to it, I'm kind of down, dude. I those guys were some of my favorite movies. To be fair, only the Ocean ones. What else have they been in?
Ocean's 11 is amazing.
Yeah. But is there anything else, or is it just those? I think it's just that franchise.
I'm sure there's more, but those are the ones that stand out. Have you got one last thing you've been up to? I highly recommend Sugar, by the way.
I've already saved it, and to be honest, I was already thinking about watching it because I'm a fucking huge Colin Farrell fan. I hate when he does popular shit though.
I mean, he's on fire.
Because he's learned his niche. He used to do these you remember SWAT? What is he doing in SWAT? He's got Irish. He's Irish.
I gotta say, I think for male stars in Hollywood, I feel like you've got to go through the trenches to get to actually good shit. You've got one of a couple of ways. It's either you're a blockhead who does these action films, or you're a romantic comedy guy. And then if you're lucky as an actor, you come out the other side and you can get to do some cool stuff. You can choose some interesting directions.
Yeah. Because you've proven that you can attract an audience.
You can attract an audience, and you can work with different directors, and once you get a little bit of trust from the studios, you look at Ryan Reynolds, classic example. Or Matthew McConaughey. They went through the trenches of being a rom-com guy, and now look at them. They're doing pretty much whatever the hell they
Matthew
want.
McConaughey did that for a lot longer than a couple movies.
Those trenches, I never said the trenches were either short or long.
No, the only thing the other thing I wanted to bring up was Ford versus Ferrari, which you had said you didn't like.
Oh,
and I remember you saying like, "Oh, it was a good movie. It wasn't great." Like,
yeah,
I fucking loved it.
Okay, cool.
I loved that movie. I think it's just probably partially because I'm American and there's like a history
America,
there.
Fuck yeah.
But I've also driven that Ford GT.
Ooh,
there's only like 250 ever made, and I've driven one. And they're fun. They're crazy to drive. It's a wild car.
Sorry, remind me, that's the
Super
Christian
wide
Bale
turns.
movie, right? Christian Bale and
that's Christian Bale
Matthew
and Matt
Damon.
Damon. And Damon's like the leader of the
yes,
Formula One-esque
yes.
style thing. I just loved Bale in that movie. He's good. He must be just like one of the best actors ever.
He's got something, hasn't he?
I
didn't love his accent.
Somebody better.
Didn't love his accent in this one.
What about it? Isn't he?
It just annoyed me.
But it's meant to be. He's an annoying person. He's English. I was gonna say it can't be bad. Like he's probably got that shit down.
He's one of the only actors who can pull off different accents. But like, I just felt like this one he was trying too hard. I felt like, just come on, man, give me.
Which is exactly what that guy would do. Like that character would try too hard. Like I don't know. Like I buy it, dude. I really like him. I think he might be the best actor of that generation.
Interesting.
Like, there's Gyllenhaal, there's him, there's Leo. You could probably put Matt or
did you put
Matt
McConaughey
Damon
in that as well?
Ben Affleck. He's older, but yeah, I would put it. I like Bale above all of them. I think.
Interesting.
He's just done some crazy shit. He's been the good-looking guy. He's been the weirdo. He's been the fucking asshole. He's just done it all. Leo's always just like the psychologically unstable dude, and Pitt's always good looking, and I just think he's got more range.
Bale had an interesting one. We were talking about going through the pits earlier of acting in Hollywood. He's one of the
pits.
Yeah, he was in the trenches. He's one of the ones who was actually a child star. So he started so young, and I watched a video about it recently on YouTube, and it took a while to find his niche. He was trying different stuff, and it's really interesting. Like, I didn't realize he was a child star. I had no idea.
No, him and Leo are both like that.
Yeah.
I've seen like some shit from him when he was a kid, like some random Instagram reels of him in some weird movie.
He looks exactly the same. Like exactly
he really
the
does.
same. It's
he really
weird.
does.
It's weird
So
how
Leo.
exactly the same he looks.
It's like they drink vampire blood. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, so do you recommend Ford vs. Ferrari?
I do. I really enjoyed that movie. Like to the point where like the flight was like ending, and I was like, "Fuck! I still have 20 minutes.
I gotta finish."
See how it ends. Yeah.
Did you see how it ends?
That was good. I did. I watched it later.
Oh, it's a sad ending. Bless. It's a good film though. I liked it. I liked it. Didn't love it. I think it's just me. I feel like it was a bit Americana.
It is a very like if you're not into cars and you're also not like across like the history of Ford.
Yeah.
Like and or if you don't even care for it, you're like, oh, what's that? Just a car company? Like Ford is like a very iconic company in America.
Yeah.
It's probably like I don't know
Chinese.
whatever tea company you have. I don't know, you've probably got some tea company. That's
you probably
like
know better
Ford.
than me
You guys
right
make
now.
tea. We make some fucking badass cars, or at least we used to.
This guy.
And it's very integral to our culture and our zeitgeist. So for me, it was a good watch.
Excellent, guys.
Plus, it had Matt Damon in it.
Matt Damon. Guys, look, if there's anything you'd recommend we watch, please hit us up. Send us memes, send us news, send us reviews. You can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. You can find us on our website, www.podcastassemble.com. All our details are there. Send us stuff. We love it when you do. We'll call you out on the show. DL.
Yes.
Do you want to preface our main topic?
It's the main topic theme.
I mean, sure. This week we watched. I should be able to say it. To be fair, with all that French I've done, Joker, Folie Deux, which to those that are unanointed and apostates, really it means craziness between us two, or crazy as craziness together, kind of.
There you go.
In French.
Isn't that just perfect for this movie? And interestingly,
Adds up.
it's having a worse opening than Morbius did.
Really?
Your face. Really?
No, I'm actually surprised because like the theater was full today, but
Yeah,
it was
that's
a small
interesting because mine was not. I probably had about 15 other people in my cinema. It was not full.
To be fair, it wasn't full. It was like half filled, but it felt most of the movies we watch are empty. So, so it felt like full. I was like, oh, there's like at least 20 people here.
It's so interesting because with you not here now, like I'm going to cinema with a bunch of different people to go and see random stuff. But the films I'm going to see for this podcast, so this Megalopolis, maybe Alien Romulus, I've kind of been going on my own, and you can tell.
Alien Romulus, I was with you.
Yeah, no, I was thinking maybe you were, but like definitely this Megalopolis. I'm trying to think of another one I've seen, but like going on your own to see a film like Megalopolis is weird. Like it's odd, and you can tell there are people there whose partners just refuse to go with them as well. Like when you look and you book your tickets, there's like a bunch of like single seats, and you're like, yeah, their partners wouldn't go with them to see this, definitely.
Fair enough, dude. No, this one, look, high level intro, right? This movie was a lot.
A lot.
Thank God it's these two, because it'd be, I think, harder to watch if it wasn't these two. But maybe they wouldn't have, gone for this kind of movie if you didn't have Jaoquin and Lady Gaga. But
you know why it's a lot, right? Because this apparently came to Joaquin Phoenix in a dream.
Shut up. Actually?
It's such a nonsense thing. I think we're going to do a bit of spoilers, non-spoilers and spoilers. But do you have a stupid plot summary to start us off with?
Yeah, I mean, mine, it's kind of low-hanging fruit, to be honest. What did I do? A star is born, but really fucking off the rocker. Like, that's basically what this is.
It's right. It's pretty much fucking spot on.
It's pretty spot on. Like, is what it is.
I was going to do something about his big white undies, and then I did it in the intro. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do something a little different. So mine is Arthur Fleck is back. And the only thing that gets him off more than Harley and Quinzel is the sheer amount of darts he's smoking. Because, my God,
I mean, it's obviously...
he smokes constantly in this film.
I mean, I don't know what they're trying. I think it must have been a character thing for him.
Oh, he did in the first one as well. I get it. But so this is from director Todd Phillips, who you'll obviously remember from the first one of these movies and the Hangover films. But did you know, DL, that Todd Phillips actually directed Road Trip, an Old School, and the Starsky and Hutch remake? Did you know that?
I didn't. Which
isn't that fucking wild?
I don't want to say it doesn't shine through in this movie, but I don't think that would.
There's something about it. There's something about it.
Yeah, any of those. None of those would have been my first guess.
Well, obviously, Joaquin Phoenix is back as Arthur Fleck, and he is back, baby, as you know, only he can be. He's skinny as all hell. He's back in the role, but he's joined this time by a few new characters. He's obviously got Lady Gaga, who's effectively Harley Quinn, who's Lee in this. A couple of shout outs. Brendan Gleeson. What a fucking actor that guy is. Love him in this. He's one of the guards in the prison, the main guy. Catherine Keener in this, who is his legal representation. Daisy Beats comes back. Steve Coogan, who the longer you stay in the UK, you will learn more and more about, is in this for some reason.
I've not met him. I've been introduced to him before via something that I don't actually know. Like, his face is super familiar, and he's always kind of funny. He was funny.
He's a comedian.
He was meant to be an asshole. Yeah,
he's super interested in this, but like he didn't have a big enough part to really talk about. But I also wanted to call out the Harvey Dent character, who is Harvey Lauty. I really liked that Harvey Dent character. I thought it was weird. It was an interesting introduction. It was different. He was super snooty. He's kind of what I expected Harvey Dent to be like in this world.
It wasn't really that relevant, though. I mean, look, I like him as a character. I think he's interesting. It was a great way to introduce him, but we didn't get enough of him to really.
Yeah. Well, he was just
feel like Harvey Dent. He wasn't anything other than another lawyer. Like he wasn't like there was nothing Harvey Dent about him.
It's different because in the comics and in the movies, he's usually this like bastion, this white light of democracy. But in this, he was kind of just the pencil pusher, and I was like, well, that kind of fits with this universe. But like one thing I don't normally do when we watch a movie for the podcast, I try and not listen to other people's reviews, other people's podcasts, all that stuff. But with this, it was getting so much like vitriol online. I was like, I went away and I listened to a bunch and I watched a bunch. I was trying to understand why people hate it so much. But for me, like, even though it wasn't musical, I like enjoyed this. I was fine with it. Like, I don't know about you.
Like I didn't go in with any expectation. Well, I tried to like not.
Yeah, right. That's good.
Listen to read anything. And then Gail, like the day before, was like, "Is this what we're seeing tomorrow?" Apparently, it's the worst movie ever. I was like, "God damn it." All right, well, there's my expectations tweaked. Look, I actually for the first half was super in, and then it died off for me.
Yeah, and I mean,
We'll
look,
talk
I really
about
liked
it,
that it was a big swing. Like they tried something really differently, and even though it was a musical, I was like, whatever.
I don't hate them for making it.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that. It's not that it was a musical. That's not even the why. Like I actually, dude, I don't mind a musical, bro.
But dude,
A
like,
Star is Born is like a top 5 movie, I think, for me.
Who's going into this going, oh my God, it's a musical, I hate this? Because we've known that for 3 years. Like, that's not news.
Like they definitely soft launched that.
I mean, they definitely cut it out a bit of the trailer.
No, I mean, they put it. That's what I'm saying. No, they put it out before the trailers. They were like, let's just like slowly get people ready for the fact. Like they definitely did.
So why are you angry at the fact it's something you already know? That I don't understand. But like, do you remember the first one?
Yeah, vaguely. I mean, it was not in depth. Like they were calling out to it, and I was like, I should have rewatched it.
Yeah. I mean, let's completely preface this. This is a Joker movie in name only. And I think that's what you've got to remember when you're watching this film. It's not the Joker. It's not who it is. And it's this, other than having a few character references to Batman, like we mentioned, it's not that. And this is a wildly different thing, which I'm totally cool with. And I'm happy that they've made something very different. I guess what really worked for me is that they like really delineated the Joker personality in this. So like when he was falling into being the Joker, they had these big musical, colorful numbers, and it was almost like his ray of sunshine, where the rest of the time he was living in this pit of despair almost. And like, yeah, I totally understand the POV that, like that you go into this movie and the first half of it is him in prison, downbeat. He's back to being Arthur Fleck, and like they've kind of taken a lot of the stuff they ended the first movie with and run it backwards. He's become Arthur Fleck again. He's not the Joker now. He's not that crazy person, and he's just been beaten down to the point that he's sagging under the weight of the world again. And I get from the point of view that people could see that and go, they've run things back. It's not the same. Like the characters reverted, but like, wouldn't that happen to you if you were in that fucking prison? Like.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not hating on that. I do agree with it, to be honest, but that's not why I don't.
Yeah.
I guess my point is like, I don't know what the point of the movie is.
Right.
I know what I think they wanted the point to be.
Yeah, right.
But I don't think they nailed it. And I also like, you really need to nail, like for me, we'll talk about it in a bit, but it's obviously like the toxicity between, like, I think it's like, hey, how can a relationship create more toxicity, or a shared belief system create more toxicity? Than less. Just don't think they nailed that with Harley Quinn and him, because there just wasn't enough of like them two beyond singing together. Yeah. Like there was like not enough character stuff. And frankly, there's the other part of me. So there's that, and the other part of me is like,
well, did you like Lady Gaga in this?
I didn't hate her. Like I thought she was good. Yeah, like I thought she was good. I just think the movie lacked like a singular point that it was going towards.
Okay.
Like I just think it like started to meander into like, what is the intention here? And it got really, really like existential in a way where the other movie was very pointedly like an investigation of society and the marginalized people in it.
Yeah.
This didn't have that same level of focus. And I also start to question like whether or not you can have a Joker movie alone without some perspective of Batman. And I'm not saying it needs to be an action movie. It just needs to be
good and bad.
It just needs to be his, like what I would have liked to see is like some investigation of like Joker's perspective on Batman. And so it's this like distorted version of Batman that's like seen through his eyes, or like at least leading to that. And based off the ending, without going into spoilers, I just don't think that is ever going to be a part of this. So it's like kind of like,
yeah, it's interesting.
It didn't crescendo the way I was like, oh, if they're making another one, I want it to like head somewhere. You know what I mean?
Well, I know Todd Phillips isn't going to be coming back for a third one. That's definitely not going to happen. But the interesting thing about this is these two movies, so the first one and this one, were made in two different time periods where Warner Brothers were working with Chris Nolan and where Warner Brothers were not working with Chris Nolan. Yeah. So the ending of the first movie was apparently supposed to end with the Joaquin Phoenix character carving his face into a smile, like the Joker you have seen in like, Chris Nolan movies and other media. But Chris Nolan put his foot down and was like, absolutely not. That's not something that, it's too close to my movies. Like, it's too close. Like, you're going to sully the memories.
Yeah.
Whereas in the end of this, he wasn't involved. So they could pretty much do whatever the fuck they wanted. So it's very interesting some of the liberties they took towards the end of this movie. And you're right, like I don't think it had a strong enough POV, and I think it did walk back a lot of the stuff that happened at the end of the first movie. And I know he was drugged up at the beginning of this because he was in prison, and they were forcing him to take, suppressants and stuff. But
that's fine.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was an interesting perspective on being in prison.
It's still a really I'm glad it exists. That's I guess my point. Like I actually overall I enjoyed it because it's so different.
Yeah.
I just thought it missed if it was trying to make a point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than just be very creative, which it was creative.
Well, I mean, yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, it's not like an Ari Aster movie.
Yeah.
But it's not that far from one.
Yeah.
It's mainly I think the creativity of the music and the acting that saves it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of plot going on here other than the trial, which I was waiting for some big crescendo and then it never happened.
Well, they certainly had a crescendo in that, but I guess it's more about Arthur living with the consequences of murdering 5 people. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of.
I think that's the point.
Yeah.
I think it's which
crime and punishment. Which doesn't make sense in the Batman world, obviously, but it's like I say, this isn't the Batman world, and I think it's he has these. There are two things about this that we'll talk about, and some we're gonna have to wait for spoilers.
It's still you're using the Joker, you have to tie to you can't just make this weird society.
Well,
film.
It's not the Joker; it's just Joker.
Yeah, but you know what they're doing, I guess my point is I'm annoyed that they just throw in a Harvey Dent and then they give you that's their tease. It's you have to have some kind of thing that ties to the central theme in a I don't need another Batman movie. I need the Joker's Batman movie, and it doesn't have to be action. It could be the same weird artsy thing you want it to be, which it is. And I just want to see how he views some crazy guy like Batman, because he's the complete opposite, right? A spoiled brat who thinks his world's been tough. And I would have just loved to see Jokers. Maybe I'm obsessing on that, but that's where I thought this was going to go.
That's fine. I like that. I think if you fully flesh out all of the Joker's backstory, you take away an element of unknowing, which is key to the Joker being as terrifying as he is. And I get it. They've done bits of that in the comics and whatnot, but there is always a hint of ambiguity without fail. Whereas if this was,
I don't need his backstory. I just need a perspective on Batman.
Well, this is the backstory. Yeah. Literally, this is it. If you remember the first movie, his mother was mean and sexually abused him and whatnot, and he's been, it is giving him that entire backstory, and I think it wouldn't work in this. I suppose the thing I did like about this movie specifically was it was kind of much smaller stakes. Weirdly. So I don't know if you noticed this, but the last one had this beating drum of eat the politicians in the background all the time. Yeah. It was this almost a building movement throughout, the people of Gotham were being really repressed. Whereas in this, you didn't get a lot of that. It was kind of it just really focused in on this relationship of, Arthur and Lee, and you got.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah, talk about go.
I don't know. I guess my point is you're right. That is the central point of the movie. I don't know what I don't know what they were trying to say other than toxic. I think there's societal message around and we're not even. I'm just talking about themes at this point because I don't know what else to talk about with this. It's a lot of musicals.
No, but you're right.
It's a lot of musicals. Right. It's really, and the music's not bad. And how about this? What did you think about Joaquin's voice?
It's not bad.
I thought he did pretty good. Yeah,
he tried. Yeah. He tried his hardest.
What do you think about his body?
It's terrifying. That shit is fucked up.
Why does he do this?
What do you think about his big white pants?
Why is he so skinny for this?
He's he's getting older now. I feel that's gonna fuck him up.
Not be doing that.
He needs to stop doing that shit. Not be doing that. It's so bad. But it's and I thought maybe they try and hide it in a big prison jumpsuit and whatnot. Maybe not have him that skinny. But the first shot of the movie,
it was
is literally
watching a Holocaust documentary, dude. It was fucked up.
It was grim.
It was grim.
I don't know about you, but it was the pacing was a bit odd for me in that. So we're talking about him in the prison. So the movie's it's two separate pieces, and the pacing was odd to me because halfway through it takes this sharp left turn into a court drama, and you're it still technically has the musical bits, but they're not as
there was still music, dude.
In your face as they had been. There was, but it's not it's not the same.
I don't know. I felt like I was in for the first half, and I just it started. I don't know if it I think it just started meandering for me, and we got to the courtroom, and I was waiting for something
I felt the court was the part that meandered.
pointy to happen, and then he just started pretending to be like Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird when he was interviewing the Puddles guy, and that was like when it lost me, dude.
Sorry, I can get out of my head. You know, the Futurama chicken lawyer thing,
dude.
That's all I could see.
I'm telling you, I think that's when it lost me. It was like when he just started, like when he got rid of his lawyer. I was like, what? Okay, where are we going now? Like,
she was winning,
and then
she was literally winning. It was great,
and then it became like presumed innocent, and I was like, what's going on here? And I don't know for our viewers that have seen that, but he's no Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
his defense.
Yeah, it's true.
Should not have arrested. I'll say that. You should have.
Well, I mean, like in that context, what's odd about it was the first half of the movie was this almost tearing down of the themes and the tones we talked about from the first movie. All those things, you know, about. You know, the society and this marching drum of oppression and whatnot. It tore all that down for the first hour and a bit. And then they get to the courtroom and then they just replayed the best bits of the first movie. It's like, what are we doing? Like, you're just going through all the things you've taught. You've tried to tear down.
I don't really... It's odd. I don't think it, like... Because you know what the problem is, I think?
Yeah, go on.
The first part of the movie was like very zoned in on him.
The big white undies?
Yeah, it was zoned in on the white undies and the skinny thighs. No, it was really like centered on him and Harley Quinn and like this weird shared experience and like what it meant for him to like finally have someone who cared and like all that good stuff, right? And her acting was good.
Yeah.
And then like she was just kind of removed from it for the next, except for like random little prison scenes and like random asides where like is obviously fantastical and they're just like singing together. So it didn't like it felt like it was building to something between them two, and then it never really made that.
You got like, and we'll talk about it in spoilers. You got like a small ending for them, but it didn't feel like you say a crescendo. It didn't feel like it ended where it could have been stronger.
I think I know what they were doing, but like I just feel like they didn't stick the landing with it or whatever because it got distracted. Like the movie got distracted on his past or whatever it was. I don't know.
I mean, you were talking then just about like the musical numbers and being almost like in this weird hypergloss soundstage world. I really liked that juxtaposition because it was almost like
I didn't mind that. Yeah, no, I didn't mind it.
So the way it's built, the movie is that the whole defense to try and get Arthur out of prison is that he, or at least into a different asylum, is that he has this split personality, and the Joker is one of these personalities. And that's who killed all these people. Murray Franklin, who was Robert De Niro's character. And when he is, from his point of view, when you see him as Joker, he is in this hypergloss reality. He is dressed as the Joker, fully in perfect, suits and on sound stages singing with Harley Quinn, and who's obviously Lee in this. And I really liked that. I thought it was really fascinating. The fact that they had clearly delineated the two, and that's almost the way he got out of this grim as fuck world. Like, I didn't mind that at all. Like, I feel like there were breadcrumbs left there to show that these are delineated personalities without necessarily throwing it too much in your face.
Yeah, but then he we can't talk about it really. So I'm going to stop. But no, I do appreciate the musical numbers and the way that it like separated the two sides of him. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was an interesting part of the movie. It was definitely something to follow throughout. And they were both really good singers. And frankly, so was Gleason.
All right singers. One was an all right singer.
Gleason was better than
Gleason was fun.
Joaquin in the little stint that I saw. But
I guess we don't get a lot of Joker in this, do we? There's not like a lot of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker in performances.
There wasn't that much in the last one either. It was like the whole buildup was his moment where he became,
Yeah.
I think that's,
which is weird because this is exactly the same.
Yeah. I think that's part of it. I think they're trying to I think that's part of the theme. They're trying to say like you push and you push and you push and this like thing, this terrible part might come out.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how interesting that is as a like story at the end of the day.
Could it be a theme that even like it more like this is obviously like an 80s setting, but like in today's world, for example, those types of insurrections, those types of build-ups where like a leader appears in the masses are squashed way easier. Do you think that could be a theme? Like it's way easier for the rich to squash, an insurrection in 2024.
Maybe.
Like, I mean, it's really like we're really picking at straws.
I thought there was like a theme of like this concept of like, the phenomenon of like Folie, Deux is like a shared delusional disorder. I thought that was super applicable to like, hey, what's your truth in 2024? Like, you find your truth, and it doesn't matter what anyone else says. Like, you're not willing to accept, anything that might seem rational because you've like narrowed in on your spot. So like the concept of like how certain groups in society reinforce each other's delusions and then like create this like echo chamber. Like, I think that is what they were going
echo
for.
Chambers.
Because like you get a bit of like, I think, validation of that as a concept at the end.
Interesting.
But
interesting.
I don't know. It was too fuzzy. I didn't nail it. But look, overall, I'm just repeating myself. Enjoyed the movie. What did you think about Harley Quinn? Because we haven't talked about her much.
It wasn't Harley Quinn. Like, it was. I get they tried something different, and I like Lady Gaga as an actor. I do. I think she's certainly interesting. Like, I have never seen A Star Is Born, so I don't have a heightened sense that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Right, and I find it difficult to dissociate Lady Gaga with the character she's playing because she's such a unique person. She's such a specific individual.
Yeah.
When I see her playing a role, I'm like, that's just Lady Gaga on stage in one of her different costumes. Do you know what I mean?
Get that.
Because she is that.
A Star Is Born, she's kind of uniquely a character, I think. But even so, it's a singer, so you'd probably still have a hard time. But
yeah, and I look at that and I think that's the time when she really acted. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in this, I just feel like it's just another of her stage personalities. But that's cool. Like, I think she's good. I know a lot of people really like her. I thought Brendan Gleeson was insanely good in this. Like, he was a bit wasted.
Yeah. I mean, he was in it a fair amount.
Scene that we're going to talk about in a minute.
He just didn't play into the.
Oh, what do you think about Catherine Keener? By the way,
yeah, she's great. She's great. I like her.
She's awesome in this. Like, so interestingly done. Let's do a bit of tones and themes. I feel like we want to talk about spoilers too much here. We're getting too close. We're gonna tell me what your tones and themes are.
I think it's just the tone. I just talked about it a bit, so I'll be brief. But the film is, I think, trying to say there's like a destructive power of like shared illusion, shared psychosis, shared mental disorder, shared whatever. Like whether it's a toxic relationship, there's like there's destruction in that. Like you like whether it's enabler, whether it's somebody who like won't call someone out in their group because they're just going around with groupthink. There's something that's trying to be said about that.
Yeah, there's definitely a theme of like true love is honest in this as well. Like, there's a lot of that running through it. There's a lot of honesty is more powerful than anything in there. And I got a lot of like, don't meet your idols as well. There's a lot of that in there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like flashing red lights around. Don't meet the people you love. But I just think that might be just me. What are your 3 best and 3 worst, big guy?
I didn't actually do this because I like thought about it and I was like, this is hard. But I'll go off the cuff. I can't tell if the puddle scene I loved or I hated, where he interviews the puddle guy.
Yeah,
there were moments that I loved.
I found that interesting.
And then there were moments that I hated, and I couldn't tell which one ended up taking hold. Gleason's obviously a top part. I really liked. I liked his acting.
Yeah, agreed. He's one of mine.
And like the crescendos were like they were all singing like I did actually like the ending for the movie, to be honest.
I quite like the crescendos.
I'll say that it makes sense for this kind of movie. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Just for best, I just had like it's a big swing. Like, it's different.
Yeah,
like it's not. What was the one Sweeney Todd that Johnny Depp did years and years ago? That literally tricked you into the cinema looking like a Sweeney Todd movie and turned out to be a musical. Whereas this is different. You knew it was a musical. I enjoyed that they tried something different. It might not have all hit. But like, swing, man. Swing for the fucking fences. You said Brendan Gleeson. I think those character actors you had in there. We mentioned Catherine Keener a minute ago. She's fantastic as well. But I think for me, the big one for me is that Joaquin Phoenix is just so dedicated to his role.
Yeah, you can't hate it.
He just he's so 100%. He's either 0 or 100.
Yeah, I mean, he's never 0. He's always 100. He's not. He's
right.
Like he's
100%.
If he's doing a movie, he's 100.
100%. Yeah. What are your worst?
I would say my worst. That's a good question.
I mean, the one you just said sort of straddles both, like with the interrogation.
Yeah, so we'll count that one again because I'm like, he's just playing Atticus Finch.
Yeah.
The other worst was kind of like, I kind of have like not put my finger on it the whole pod, but basically that it wasn't as sharp in what it was trying to say.
Interesting.
Like it's not as clear of a message as the first one. And
Yeah,
I didn't
I'll take that.
love how Lady Gaga was kind of relegated to like watching in the background for the last half of the movie, which is kind of felt
Yeah, that was
kind
kind
of felt
weird,
like it was
wasn't
pretty important
Yeah.
that she would be involved, and she just like kind of wasn't, or at least when she was, it wasn't in the ways that it wasn't in a way that I understood. And maybe I'm dumb, but
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, you're right. I had that it kind of backtracked, not dissimilar to yours. Backtracked on a lot of the things from the first movie. It seems to be that it took those highs and really like
Yeah.
squashed them down. And the other one I just had, and I don't know if this is kind of spoiler. It's not really, but like just the rape scene, like
oof. Yeah, I think I went
it
to the
just felt
bathroom during that.
so unnecessary. It just felt so unnecessary. It just felt like the makers of the movie were trying to make a point that even the main character can be fucked up. I was like, this is like, it just felt so unnecessary in the moment.
Gail, literally,
right,
I went to the bathroom and Gail's like, I think he got raped. And I was like, I didn't see
it. Was left sort of ambiguous, but you can guess. Like it was pretty obvious. Let's do a little bit of the critical reception, my guy. What do you think the current IMDb score is for this?
It's gonna be in the 5s, I think, based off of what I've heard. 5.3.
Ooh, it's 5.4.
Oh wow, close.
Blind squirrels and nuts and all that stuff. You're very close. What do you think the current Rotten Tomatoes score is?
I don't think that's gonna be that much better. 60?
It's 33.
33. That's ruthless.
Oh,
that's way worse
cruel.
than I thought.
That's brutal. And finally, the letterbox score, which is always 3.5, but never 3.5. What do you think that is?
That's gonna be 2.9.
Oh, it's 2.5. It's
Yikes.
it's really getting critically panned right now. And I mean, I don't know, like it's not a Batman film. Like, get over it, guys. Come on, like it's better than people saying it is.
But they would give like a 3.5 to a Batman film.
That's actually very true. All right, finally, what we do is our rating system, which is very simply that the internet is binary. So we ask the question, is this better or worse than the most average movie we can think of, which right now and probably forever will be Aquaman 2018, and why? DL, is this better than Aquaman 2018?
100%. It's got to be better. They went for something. It's better. It's got to be.
It's a big swing. It's different. They tried something new. I was just entertained by it like the whole time. There wasn't a minute in this I was like, I'm not interested to know what's going to happen next. Do you know what I mean? Like it was. I'm not saying it was good. But it was better than average.
Towards the end, I was starting to be like, okay, like this is getting to the point where I'm kind of over it. But I wanted to see what they were going to do. And I should have just known at that point, like if the things that I was thinking they were going to do hadn't happened yet, that it was going to be the way it was. So soon we'll be able to translate what that means because we're almost in spoilers.
That's a good point.
I'm ready.
Well, let's do spoilers then. You ready for spoilers? Big time spoiler time? I guess the thing, I've only got a couple of things here. Effectively, Fleck renounces the Joker in court. So, like, he takes on the role of being his own legal counsel. He does a bunch of stuff which is utter nonsense, as the chicken from Futurama. And then he sort of just goes to the jury and says, like, the Joker's not a separate thing. It's me. And sort of Harley leaves him after their, whirlwind relationship. And
that's the thing.
It felt flat. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a bit like
it's like that just didn't feel. I don't know. It didn't feel in line with the character, but neither does pretending that the Joker isn't himself. Like I feel like the Joker is very much himself, and so I thought he was going to go the other way.
Yeah,
like I thought he was going to fully embrace the Joker as like a thing and be like, hey, the Joker isn't it? No, it is me.
Same.
I am like
same.
And this is what I've become. Like, and then he's like manically insane. Yes, not a split personality, but so
yeah, I completely agree. I guess the challenge with that is that they've put all these breadcrumbs through the movie that we talked about, whereby when he is full Joker, it's a different reality almost, and he's singing in a musical soundstage, and he's with Harley and Quinn, and etc. etc.
Good point.
Like, I don't understand. I think it would have been better if it was a case of like. It is a split personality, but he just embraces it fully as part of himself. He brings the personalities together. Do you know what I mean? He's like, the personality is no longer split. It's like Arthur and Joker are now one. But the way it happened in court was it was almost like a downer. It was like, he's just like, it's not real.
Yeah, he just he accepted that like he did it.
His fate?
And it just happened to be the moment that the jury was there. No, it wasn't interesting to somebody who just sat through 2 hours of musical.
But like not in an interesting way.
I agree. Like it wasn't a payoff. It was like oh yeah, I did do that. And I'm not going to like say I didn't.
Yeah. And I guess that sort of So look, the movie then goes on. The courthouse blows up. He gets recaught. We'll talk a bit about what happens in between in a minute. But like the real climax of this is that the Arthur character dies. He gets shanked.
Who he's basically inspired.
He gets back to prison, and another prisoner who is
he's inspired a Joker to
looks like they're probably gonna be the Joker.
Look, I didn't mind that. It's just like it really the ending was super garbled. Like there was no clear like, hey, is it because there was no end to the build up. I feel like it was very just kind of random in a lot of ways.
Well, the build up was the random part. That's what I found. Like the build up wasn't going a specific direction. So I think when they got to the end, they kind of were like, I guess we got to do some sort of ending to this. And like, I think what I found interesting about the first movie was like the whole premise kind of was anyone can be the Joker. Like the Joker can be anyone. It's not necessarily just Arthur Fleck. And I think in a way, this ending pushes those themes forward, but just not in a satisfying way.
Yeah. I think it does align to that. Now that I think about it, it aligns to the concept of like that shared mentality, where it's like if you break the fantasy, you're out of the club. You know what I mean? If I'm
totally,
like
100%.
If I'm in like the Trumpville or like the Wokeville of like each side, and I call one person out, there's suddenly like there's no room for that in that type of mentality, and to the point where you not only, which is one spoiler,
you're either
you get killed by the people that you helped create, but to the other side where your love, who was only in love with you because of the fact that you were kind of powering the fantasy. So like I think that if you think about that, it does go full circle in a way.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. The whole Gaga and Phoenix love affair turning to ash. You find out that she's in love with the Joker, not necessarily Arthur.
Yeah.
And she just bolts and leaves him. It's weird as fuck.
Also, like, when the lights flickered there, was she there? I didn't see her. So, like, the lights flicker and you see her there, and then, like,
yeah, great question. I don't know.
I swear I saw empty stairs. And I'm like, oh, is she just, like, completely a figment of his imagination?
I find it, that is a great question. And you go back to the question in the first movie, which is, Arthur is an unreliable narrator.
Difficult to...
Some of the situations she ends up in, I find very difficult to believe. So, like, there's times in this where, like, he is in solitary confinement and she convinces a guard to let her in to see him, and they end up, making love.
I love how, did your movie show... Maybe this is just because I'm in the UK, but it was like the start of the movie gave me like the things that were in it. It was like very brief sex.
Did it? I think that's a very UK thing.
Here comes the very brief sex.
Name of like, my sex tape.
There can't be more than 5 pumps. They said very brief.
Yeah. 2 pumps and a grunt, they say in the UK. It's like some of the things she gets into, like that, and the time, like when they escape the prison briefly. I find it quite hard to believe she was even there at times. But I mean, like, I think the movie wants you to think she is. So I don't know. The whole thing of it, turning to ash and her having lied to him the whole movie, and then he's the one who's the bad guy because he's, not 100% the Joker. I find it was a bit garbled for me.
I think I think they could have stripped some stuff out and made it a more poignant message. I don't know what they would strip out, but what the biggest thing that lost me was like his whole ramble where he's like interrogating the puddle guy. Like I didn't know what the point of that was, and it was like at a point where it was like meant to be like a very, very important thing, and then it was just kind of meandering and aimless. And I was like, okay, like what is the...
Could it be crazy? Be crazy?
I don't know.
It's a weird one. I think you used the word garbled there, or confused, or lacking something. I think there was something that didn't 100% hit home or click in this movie, and I just feel like it just took away from the core points of it. And
tonally, it's a very similar movie to the first.
Definitely.
So I don't know why people are like super shocked. It's like the first movie with like music.
Well, I think the part people are shocked about is that it is the same. It's like so you went through this whole journey of Arthur's, being this downbeat guy to becoming Joker, and then all of a sudden you go back and you relive the whole thing again. To me, I'm like that there's something missing there. Like why are we doing this? We've had that story.
Mental illness though. That's like high. That's literally mental illness. It's like highs and lows, highs and lows.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like I kind of actually, I guess that's the part where like this movie always is gonna struggle, is that like you're looking for it to crescendo into this character that it never really wanted to be.
Yeah. And that's very interesting.
Like it never really wanted to be the Joker.
It never was going to be the Joker. So I find that super interesting.
That's what I want, to be honest. Is like I want a Joker film that gives me the perspective of the Joker's view on Batman, the way I got with Heath Ledger at the very end of the Dark Knight, where he's like, ha, that's the craziness of it. Like, you'll always be you. And it's like his view of like what Batman represents.
Yeah, right.
And I think that like Heath Ledger's like line in that movie is that he's like the pinnacle of good and like to a fault. And I think that there's more to the Joker's perspective on Batman other than that, but that's an interesting perspective. I would like the whole view, which is like, dude, you're just like a spoiled little boy. but in a
Grow up,
really
dude.
crazy Joker way. Like if you think about like the background of the Joker and then you think about the background of Batman, it's like they couldn't be farther.
Well, that you know,
like farther from
who
each
knows?
other.
Joker could.
Like,
I mean, that's what I was talking about. That ambiguity before.
What, you think he grew up in a private school with the other billionaire? Like, no, I think that there's no way that the Joker's background is like similar to Bruce
Why not?
Wayne's.
He could have just.
It's going to be whatever
He
it's
could
going
have
to
just
be.
had challenges his whole life.
Okay, maybe. I don't
Why
know.
not? Why not?
I think because he's fucking psychotic.
That's true.
Think he's
That's true. Look,
I think he wasn't just the other billionaire's son. Like, I don't know.
How do
My
you
point
know?
is, like, I think there's something to
that would be
investigate.
such a cool twist if he'd been an other billionaire's son the whole time and he was just mentally challenged. Let's do a bit of trivia, true or false. I wanna get into this with you and see which one of these you believe to be true or false. DL. Trivia, true, trivia, false. After test screenings were poorly received, Warner Brothers frantically attempted to insert a Robert Bat cameo to tie the two worlds together. Is that true or is that false?
No, I don't think so. That's false.
It is actually false. That's the one I made up. So you got me straight off the bat. I thought it was. Apparently, they didn't actually do test screenings for this movie. Isn't that weird? Like they either know.
I think that Todd, like whatever his name
Todd
is,
Phillips.
just like earned Phillips. I think he just earned it, dude.
From the
When
first
you
one.
make that much money for Warner Brothers, they're gonna give you a round.
They're gonna be like, "You go, guy. You got this." All right, let's
They're like, get after it, dude.
let's do another then. So trivia, true, trivia, false, DL. Todd Phillips announced in early October 24 that he intends to move on from the Joker character and DC Studios, specifically ruling out a third or spin-off movie revolving around Lady Gaga's character. Is that true or is that false?
I think you spoiled this one. It's true.
I think I did. It is true. I don't see this as been like, if it's not making money and it's not lucrative anymore, I don't see why they'd do another one to this anyway. Like, it doesn't seem.
To be honest, like I'm surprised it didn't look like it costed a lot. The only thing at the end, like with the explosion, maybe, but
Yeah. I mean,
was
probably
mostly-
the actors would be expensive. Joaquin.
I was gonna say the actors, but it seemed like Gleason was like kind of keen for this. I watched an interview and he was like, "I really want to be."
Yeah.
I think he probably sought it out.
Yeah.
But Lady Gaga is not cheap.
Yeah.
for
She
sure.
would not be cheap. All right. Trivia, false, DL. The rooftop set for one of the musical numbers was previously used in another film. The film was The Greatest Showman. Is that true or is that false?
Haven't seen it.
I have seen it.
Believe it though. Yes,
It
true.
is true. I love that. That's really interesting. And I there's no parallels there. There's nothing. It's just utilizing another set, I assume. But like, it's cool. It's interesting that they've chucked in something which is quite clearly set up to be something completely different to what the first movie was. And they were like, let's use this. I like that. Finally then, DL. Trivia, true, trivia, false. In one of the musical numbers, Lee and Joker are performing on stage with a band named the Pogos, which is aptly named because of the serial killer John Wayne Gacy. Is that true or is that false?
They are on stage. There is a band. Don't know if they're named the Pogos. Maybe they were. I'm going to say true because it's so random.
It is so random. And obviously, John Wayne Gacy was the serial killer who dressed up as a clown named Pogo and did children's parties. So that works well with this movie,
Wait,
doesn't it?
that's a real thing?
Yeah, it's a real thing. He's a serial killer. It's
Oh,
wild.
God, that's a nightmare.
Isn't
dude.
that terrifying? Imagine, and he was like, look at pictures.
must have
it was a
inspired
terrifying
it.
fucking clown. Ultimately, I was entertained by this. I didn't mind this movie. I don't know why it's getting as much vitriol as it is. It seems to be that people really hate this, but I think it did interesting things with this character, and I didn't mind the ending either. I don't know about you, DL, but overall, I had fun. Fun's a strong word.
Overall, I think it's not a movie for somebody who's going to see your latest Marvel schlick.
Yes, agreed.
You got to be okay with seeing some weird stuff.
Yeah,
And-
4 seconds of sex.
The acting was good though. Like you
Acting's
can't blame
amazing.
the acting.
Yeah, absolutely.
The acting was great. Like you're always engaged because they're throwing themselves at it. Like which is
I mean, like I say, he is 100% in. old mate Joaquin.
And I think as is everyone else in the film. To me, it's kind of like one of those things where if you like good actors running at like a hard challenge, like you'll enjoy this movie, even though it kind of meanders at times.
Yeah, I love that. Shall we wrap up the show, big guy?
A big thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode. There's going to be a delay, Matt. I think you're going to have to deal with it and do some cool editing mastering.
He's the editing master.
Although maybe not, because like Starlink is connected to satellites and satellites go everywhere. So maybe we're good. If you'd like Matt to be part of your podcasting team, get in touch on...
Which you should.
You definitely should. On business@mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out more about his services. If you want to hear his work, listen to Coffee with a Podcaster. I'm in the market for a coffee maker team, just so you know. If anyone's got one.
In the UK, specifically in London. If anyone wants to sell him one.
I really need one because every time I go and get a coffee next door, it's like literally 10 Australian dollars. Short thought pieces on topics about podcasting short over a cup of coffee. That is Coffee with a Podcaster. Check it out.
Wholesome content.
The most
wholesome. And guys, thank you so much for sticking with us. We really appreciate you for doing so. Thanks for coming back. We will be on a bit of a wild schedule over the next couple of weeks while DL gets settled and we get settled into our new apartment, but we will be back. DL, thank you very much.
You're saying TP and DL will return?
We will return. Unlike Arthur Fleck. Tally ho.
Ooh, yikes, tally ho. That's a spicy one. Until next time. Woohoo.
Laters gators.